Here are 6 things that I wish I had known to check in my own manuscript before hiring a developmental editor. Today is day 5 of my ongoing video series, and today I'll be mostly covering what comes next after structural self-editing. As you can see, I am finally back in my own space. It is a huge relief, but it means that today was crazy for me, so my apologies for the very late posting of this video. For anyone who hasn't seen the earlier videos in this series, my name is Rebecca and I am the developmental editor behind Heartbound Editing. I am back today to share some more mindset tips, practical macro self-editing steps to take in preparing your manuscript to receive feedback, and a bonus author career tip at the end. Let's dive in. Mindset tip number 1. Before the next time you read through your manuscript, take some time and think about why you originally loved this story. What about it had you excited to write the story in the first place? Is it a character, a creative aspect of your premise, a certain scene? Whatever it is, physically write it out and tape it up where you are going to see it constantly during that read. Then, while you are reading, pay attention to how you can better serve that core aspect that you love through the whole story. If you love it, there's a great chance that your readers will too. So everything you can do to foreshadow it and deliver it and follow up on it in the most satisfying and emotional ways that you can are just going to help your story. Mindset tip number 2. Start planning your next steps early. Hopefully, you've been thinking about this since you wrote the end at the end of your first draft, but now it's time to start actually pursuing those thoughts, ideally before you are done with all of your own editing, as they can take time to set up correctly. With developmental editors, beta readers, critique partners, or even line editors, you will need to go through a certain process in order to get the most out of it. Find a bunch of options, vet them a little bit, and then pick the best. Establish contact and make sure that you get along with that individual or group. Get a sample edit done, if applicable, and get on their calendar, especially if they are booked out a few months, which most professional editors will be. This all takes time, so get started earlier than later and your future self will thank you. So, moving on to our structural polishing things to ask yourself in the macro editing process. First, have I made sure that my chapters are correctly numbered, in the correct order, and have no repeats or numbers skipped? You would be surprised what can happen in drafting and self-editing, so just make sure that everything is in order so that your editor's notes or your critique partner or beta reader's notes will line up and make sense as well. Second, have I done at least one meaningful pass to catch any major typos or missing words to ease readability? I personally suggest using a software like ProWriting Aid or by listening to it out loud using text-to-speech software or by reading it out loud yourself. Your line level writing doesn't have to be perfect by any means, not for developmental editing or beta reading, but you want to make sure that it is as readable as possible so that your readers can devote their attention to the elements that you want feedback on at this stage, which is the more macro things. Third question, is there always a paragraph break between two different avatars speaking? Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Editors will help you with that. But newer authors may not even know that this is expected and needed for clarity, and clarifying which actions and lines of dialogue in any given scene belong to which avatar is very helpful for the same reason as question number 2. Question number 4, are any of my names or other proper nouns too similar visually or audibly when reading at full speed and need to be changed? This is something you can wait to address later in the process as you get into the line editing and copy editing sort of stuff. But if you do it now, you have many more chances to have one of these outsider fresh pairs of eyes catch if you forgot to change that name in one of these places because it was spelled wrong or something like that. Fifth, what are the best, coolest, most unique, or most emotional moments in the story, and can I turn them into a rough first draft blurb? You will need one to get beta readers or critique partners to agree to read your piece in most situations. And having one to give to your developmental editor with your manuscript will help them understand your goals for the story and which parts of the story you are most excited about so that they can help you strengthen them. Sixth, which isn't really a question, but it's the last step I'm going to cover here, is do one last polishing read. You have done a ton of work and you should reward yourself for it. Grab your favorite treats, set up your favorite reading space, and consume your fabulous creation one more time to remind yourself just how worth it all of this has been and how worth it all of this coming is going to be as you start letting other people consume it and provide their thoughts on how you can make it even better. All right, so today's bonus tip is to never only have one option for yourself when choosing an editor. And I know that might sound a little bit odd coming from one, but you should always compare your options. There are plenty of things that I'm sure you will think of by yourself, like availability, testimonials, how many reads of the manuscript they do, and price, though do be careful with that last one because you get what you pay for. If an editor is really cheap, they probably have to take on many more clients to make their ends meet. And so they are probably more likely to do rushed or subpar work because they are overbooked. Anyway, here are 3 considerations that you may not otherwise think of. First, check their deliverables. It should be clear what their deliverables are, and you can make sure that those are what you are looking for. Do they provide an edit letter, which is when you have a separate document in which they have written out the thoughts that they had reading through it and their suggestions for improvement and all of that sort of stuff? Do they offer inline comments? Is that something that you want, where they will highlight the text and make a note about it in your manuscript document? Do they offer video call debriefs and or ongoing support so that you can talk to them about your ideas for changing things in the manuscript and if they think that that would execute well? Do they offer anything else than that, more than that, less than that? Make sure that they are clear and it matches your needs and desires. Just basically know what tangibles you are paying for more than feedback. Second, in this point, are they a good personality fit with you? And I don't just mean do you like them? Is their communication style and how prompt they are in responding a good fit for you? Do you feel heard and understood? If they offer a sample of their feedback that they have provided to someone else in the past, is their tone there one that you can digest easily as constructive criticism, even if you have the same emotional reaction that we all do? Being compatible in that way is vital. Third, in this point, is make sure that they use contracts if you ask for one. Ideally as a default, but if you ask for one, the answer absolutely needs to be yes. This is really, really, really important. Things happen, and not only do you want to be protected yourself, you and your finances and your manuscript, your intellectual property, all of that, but if an editor isn't protecting themselves with a contract as well, then I personally have concerns about how serious they are taking themselves and my agreement with them, and how seriously I should then be taking them in turn. So that's it for this day 5 video. I hope you will join me for the free webinar tomorrow afternoon, which will include an Ask the Editor live Q&A, a limited time flash discount sale, and an overview of everything that I wasn't able to cover in these videos. If you need help, answers, or community as you go through this process, this will be the place to find it. I'll put a link to the sign up for that with the exact details in the description of this video, and I hope I see you tomorrow. As always, I am Rebecca. I am the developmental editor behind Heartbound Editing, that is H-A-R-T, like the female deer, and thank you so much for watching.